Now, most health professionals will have heard of resistant starch, but for anyone else that's watching and has never heard of this, resistant starch can be formed when you cook and quickly cool potatoes. And years ago, we didn't appreciate why resistant starch was so important, but we now understand that resistant starch is really another type of dietary fibre that's really important for a healthy microbiome, a healthy gut to feed up those good bacteria. Just like resistant starch is formed when you cook things like polenta or mealie meal, upon cooling you form a lot of resistant starch. The same thing happens with potato, and it's a really important nutrient to, for healthy gut health, or at least for good gut health, and then good health of the body, since everything's connected with the gut.
Now tell me, how, if I need to cook my potatoes, cool them down, how quickly does that resistant starch develop?
It develops within, I guess, the first half an hour to an hour of cooling. And what the tip I give my patients is actually not to cook potatoes today and eat them now, but in order to save time, to cook them on the weekend. Cook enough for a few days, have them in the fridge. It will definitely be formed at that stage, And years ago, we didn't have a clue how important this resistant starch was. But back in the 70s, Dr. Dennis Burkitt, who actually postulated the fibre hypothesis, he was doing a lot of research in Africa, particularly comparing the diets of rural Africans to the British and others. And even though when you look at standard food composition tables, some of these healthy foods like maize or potatoes don't seem to score as high in dietary fibre that's currently recorded, this resistant starch is formed. And he found that their diet was really rich in resistant starch. And this is one of the thoughts as to why they have such low rates of gut disorders, low rates of colon cancer, and so on. So I think potatoes have the same thing going for them, as long as we treat them correctly, cook them in the ways that they used to be cooked, which is pre-cooked, and particularly in the Mediterranean diet, and then cooled and then consumed later. And it doesn't matter how you torture them later, Jemma, they still retain some or most of that resistant starch. So that's good to know.